This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Chapter 2, Boyhood in West Virginia. We began life in West Virginia in a little shanty and lived in it for several years. My stepfather soon obtained work for my brother John and myself in the salt furnaces and coal mines, and we worked alternately in them until about the year 1871. Soon after we reached West Virginia, a school teacher, Mr. William Davis, came into the community, and the colored people induced him to open a school. My stepfather was not able to spare me from work so that I could attend this school when it was first opened, and this proved a sore disappointment to me. I remember that soon after going to Malden, West Virginia, I saw a young colored man among a large number of colored people reading a newspaper, and this fired my ambition to learn to read as nothing had done before. I said to myself, if I could ever reach the point where I could read as this young man was doing, the acme of my ambition would be reached. Although I could not attend the school, I remember that in some way my mother secured a book for me, and although she could not read herself, she tried in every way possible to help me to do so. Every barrel of salt that was packed in the mines was marked, and by watching the letters that were put on the barrels, I soon learned to read. As time went on, after considerable persuasion on my part, my stepfather consented to permit me to attend the public school half of the day, provided I would get up very early in the morning and perform as much work as possible before school time. This permission brought me great joy. By 4 o'clock in the morning I was up and at my work, which continued until nearly 9 o'clock. The first day I entered school, it seems to me, was the happiest day I have ever known. The first embarrassment I experienced at school was in the matter of finding a name for myself. I had always been called Booker, and had not known that one had use for more than one name. Some of the slaves took the surnames of their owners, but after freedom there was a prejudice against doing this, and a large part of the colored people gave themselves new names. When the teacher called the roll, I noticed that he called each pupil by two names, that is, a given name and a surname. When he came to me, he asked for my full name, and I told him to put me down as Booker Washington, and that name I have borne ever since. It is not every schoolboy who has the privilege of choosing his own name. In introducing me to an audience in Essex Hall, London, during my visit to Europe in the summer of 1899, Honorable Joseph H. Coate, the American ambassador, said that I was one of the few Americans that had had the opportunity of choosing his own name, and in exercising the rare privilege, I had very naturally chosen the best name there was in the list. My stepfather seemed to be over-careful that I should continue my work in the salt furnace until 9 o'clock each day. This practice made me late at school and often caused me to miss my lessons. To overcome this, I resorted to a practice of which I am not now very proud, and it is one of the few things I did as a child of which I am now ashamed. There was a large clock in the salt furnace that kept the time for hundreds of workmen connected with the salt furnace and coal mine. But as I found myself continually late at school, and after missing some of my lessons, I yielded to the temptation to move forward the hands on the dial of the clock so as to give enough time to permit me to get to school in time. This went on for several days until the manager found the time so unreliable that the clock was locked up in a case. It was in Malden that I first found out what a Sunday school meant. I remember that I was playing marbles one Sunday morning in the road with a number of other boys, and an old colored man passed by on his way to Sunday school. He spoke a little harshly to us about playing marbles on Sunday, and asked why we did not go to Sunday school. He explained in a few broken, though plain words, what a Sunday school meant, and what benefit we would get from it by going. His words impressed me, so I put away my marbles and followed him to Sunday school, and thereafter was in regular attendance. I remember that some years afterwards I became one of the teachers in this Sunday school and finally became its superintendent. No matter how dark the days or how discouraging the circumstances, there was never a time in my youth when the firm resolution to secure an education at any cost did not constantly remain with me.